building across the street that had been not a convenience store. It was actually a full-fledged grocery store when I was a kid, and we used to go over there and you put the stuff down on the counter as kids, went over there and they'd kind of add it up and then put it on the tally up, but put it up on this little tab that they had for our parents to pay. And, every week or 2 weeks or whatever, even some people once a month, they'd come and settle up, No, they don't do that nowadays. You can't do that. I mean, you got a credit card, but this is different. They didn't charge interest,
Right.
And, as when I saw the building going down, this was a couple of weeks ago, but just I went by it again today, and now it's all covered up with like seed, and they got like straw on top of the site and all this stuff. It's kind of painful because I've seen this whole neighborhood destroyed, over the years, and then everything seems like come full circle because part of my childhood was like I was born in '63, so that old couple left there. I think it's '76, '77, and then an Asian family bought it, and they had an Asian food market there for several years. And they had two or three different owners, all Asians, owning that place. And then now it was like we just saw Jimmy Carter pass away, and then as he's passing away, now Trump is bringing up the Panama Canal, and trying to regain the control of it and stuff like for the United States, or having more of an input and stuff like that, because it is a very vital link. And China's, basically got a real strong presence there, last I heard. So, I mean, it just seems things come full circle. I mean, I'm reflecting on this and I'm hearing about, Carter passing away, and, he had a mixed bag kind of a, presidency. But what do you think about the Panama Canal? What we all know about it? And,
I mean, I looked up the history of it. I mean, we paid for it.
Right.
I mean, and we maintained it for what? It's been there for 100 years, and out of that 100 years, we must have done like 60, 70 years of it.
Right.
And we paid for it after the treaty in 1977 that Carter signed.
Right.
Right.
And we're still paying for it. So, but treaties are meant, it doesn't mean that they're supposed to be everlasting.
Right.
You can revisit it if you think that, the two countries. When I said last week, what do you think about us going and taking over? I didn't mean actually by force. I mean, of course, diplomatically and using lawyers and speak and all that too. But we should regain control back over it. But also Trump, I don't know if he wants to expand it.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, if we want a vital links to the, that's a trade route. I mean, it's like taking a shortcut. I mean, and if America is genuinely concerned about, we got to rebuild our infrastructure, we got to build our school system if we want to be competitive. I mean, that's it. I mean, and having this link like that, that major link to be able to ship things out of this country faster, even to go to different places in the world rapidly and cut costs.
What people gripe about, it makes things cheaper.
Right. I
The
mean,
faster it can get to the
market.
consumer or market, the cheaper it's going to be.
right. And another thing is too, that route, that type of shipping is actually more economical and actually better for the environment and stuff, unless you have oil spills.
Because it had less fuel.
Yeah, a lot less fuel.
Look at it this way: in the 60 years that we controlled it,
Right.
look at our economy at that time.
Right.
Most of that time, our economy was booming because we were being able to trade across the world, get things in from across the world, get things done faster. Now you have to take a different trade route to get into everything this Panama, where you have to pay a more higher amount for us to have our stuff go in and go out. And this goes along with the tariffs, where I know people are going to go, oh, you guys don't know anything about tariffs. But here's the thing. You tell me what country that allows us to go in and pay whatever, do whatever we want to do in reciprocal. They don't.
No.
We're the only country that thinks that we take it
No,
under.
yeah.
We take it under our rear
Look
end.
what we did for Germany after the war. We rebuilt everything. Everywhere we go.
When we went to Iraq, we rebuilt it.
Kosovo. We're still rebuilding in Kosovo. That's how many years ago? That's in the 1980s.
We stay there, we rebuild, and then what we do is then we have politicians, like we've talked about before, that will say to you over and over and over, we have to. But nobody ever says why we have to.
Right.
Nobody ever says,
because
here's the day that we're freaking leaving. You guys need to live it on your own. If you don't like us, then we are not your sugar daddy, and we don't believe in prostitution as a country anymore.
Okay.
And we don't need to be paying you to screw us.
But they called the Panama Canal, when it was built, one of the what are the seven wonders, right?
Right.
It was supposed to be like the eighth wonder of the world. That they actually did this in the early 1900s.
Nope.
That they built this thing, and it's a jewel of the world, and we just gave it away. Don't you think? I mean, we were briefly discussing it before the beginning of the show that it had to be congressmen, the greedy congressmen and greedy businessmen that wanted to give it away because they knew there was more money for them to have to
Right.
privatize it.
Because I
Yeah.
remember how rapidly they moved on this. I mean, when I was a kid, I only heard vague things about people. We should give this back because that's sovereign territory of another country. But when Carter got in, bam, it was in. It was done. It was
Yeah.
like a done deal.
And then
And
look at whatever happened right after he did it.
right,
4 more years. It's like a Biden thing. After 4 years, we lived through crap through Biden through Carter.
right.
I like Jimmy Carter after he was president. I don't see one thing he's did
No,
while he was president that I
But
could go back
but
and say, look at what great it was.
but we spent $375 million, which would be $12 billion today, just building it,
Yeah. And that's
not taking care of it, and then taking care of it all those years. And then we also lost over almost 30 million or 30,000 people building it due to accidents. I think there were like 5,000 accidents that people died, but the ancillary through like malaria and the other diseases that people got while they were there building it.
and look at we were able to carry it out and get it done. The French started and it failed miserably. They just dropped it. They just went on to something else or nothing else. We did it. I mean, we've done this before. We do this all the time. We do something, everybody else enjoys the benefit of, and we walk away, and then we're vilified for doing what we did. Like, well, your motivation was
It's
right.
the same thing with the UN.
Right.
I mean, the UN was created, but we're the ones
Hosted.
that fund it. Same thing with the World Bank.
Right.
We take care of the World Bank, and we're the majority, I guess, stockholder. And come to find out that the World Bank is got some financial problems trying to figure out where all the money went. But what I'm saying is, we always get screwed. We're always Charlie Brown with the football. We think we're doing such a great job for people, and they just stab us in the back.
Well, like remember Ross Perot when he was running for president, he said, go to every country you do trade with and say, give us a same trade deal we give you. Nobody, you can't do that. Why can't you? Why
Well,
can't you
our
expect
own
us
people say it.
Right.
That's the dumb part about it.
Yeah.
I was in there today. I got up, I was doing some things. I was watching Facebook just to see what's going on, And I heard these guys and they started typing things out about Trump. And it's like, oh my God, he hasn't taken his oath yet. And they're like, oh, look at how bad he is and what he's
Yeah,
doing
look at the
wrong
gas
shit.
prices. Gas prices hasn't come down, and Trump's been in on.
He's been elected since November 7th, and we haven't got gas prices lowered.
This is stupid things
Because
to
you
say.
have a demented old man sitting in the freaking White House right now, and then you got Tim Walz and his wife doing some stupid TikTok video that nobody understood it, and then you got Kamala Harris, who I don't know if she's high or if she's drunk, but you got those three people going, and that's kind of what we have right now. And then you got the Republicans who want to fight against each other, which I think what you talked about about 2 weeks ago was probably the truth if you really want to lay it out. I think
don't
Trump
remember.
allowed
What did I talk
I
about?
think Trump laid out with Mike Johnson to do a thing to see what idiots would go on
Oh,
this
okay.
thing or not. And then to hear what the different idiots have come up, go, well, wait a second, we haven't got our pay raise in 14 years. Okay, let's do something that's really interesting. Why don't we vote you say vote, you guys tell me every time. The only way you can take care of things there in Washington is you vote people out, right?
Mhm.
Here's the deal. I don't give myself a raise. I really don't. It's only if I do anything, if I build a company, that I can build myself a raise. That's the only way. If we take a loss, guess what? I take the loss.
Right.
So guess where we go with this? Why don't we vote every 2 years on the rate of Congress? Do they or do they not deserve a pay increase or a pay decrease?
How about you just say that it's whatever it's 2% above or below the current economy, and not worry about voting whether they get a pay raise.
I see. Well, I definitely think that they should be held accountable for I think all the time we have to get a raise is because the cost of living goes up, and that's typically because inflationary rates and their policies are one typically
Agreed.
But
It
But
doesn't
what I-
matter what side they
right,
sit on right now.
But John brought something up, and I was surprised that a congressman even said it about a congressman shouldn't be able to make any more than the median income of the area that they're representing.
Right. And it's like it was it Dan that
Crenshaw.
Crenshaw. Yeah, he's whining about that, not getting that 3% raise, 4% raise, 5%. It's like, look, I looked it up. You're the average person in his district. He's from Texas. They're like 80 some thousand. He makes $174,000 currently. That's why with almost 3 times the amount that the average constituent makes.
Right.
He gets paid. He's got an expense account for all his offices, all the rent or lease paid, is paid for if it's not a building that's owned by the government. And we operate that too. So what the hell does he need that much money for?
And if he goes anywhere, he gets paid for it.
Right. I mean, everything's covered. His airfare, his hotel rooms, luxurious. I mean, I'm sure certain they're not roughing it. So I mean, what the hell's wrong with these people? I mean, you're
Because
making
they get in that bubble.
right.
And then what happens is they're all talking woofing the same crap in their bubble, and then sometimes there's flow over into the public, and they don't realize that they're saying it when they're saying it. How
Well-
stupid it sounds.
Okay, I think I brought this up before, but I used to get this catalog from a company that was based out of DC. It was like basically it was like a retail shop, but they sell pens, writing instruments, right?
Mhm.
And and this is DC, and you can tell for where it's at, located on the map. It's like it's in the the hub of not too far from DC.
Right.
And anyway. So some of these pens in there, I bought a $200, $100 some dollar pen. It was supposed to be taken from the wood of the USS Constitution. I paid $120 for that. There were pens in there for $5,000.
Mhm.
Pens. Now, look at that. That's the mindset. And they were saying some of these pens are being bought by congressmen, senators. These are the types that
Mine came from Manassas. I bought the same thing. I
Yeah.
bought it from Manassas, from
Yeah.
a tree in Manassas, because I'm a Civil War guy.
right.
And yeah, so yeah,
That is stupid. And then why do they always have these stupid signing ceremonies? And then the president or whoever gives away
a pin
mean,
to somebody.
those are so stupid. They're doing their job. Their job shouldn't be a freaking ceremony.
Yes, no. I mean, not everything's. Let's face it. When you're signing a bill to increase the spending bill or something like that, that's not a noteworthy thing. That should be considered a kind
That's
of a
your job.
demerit. It's your job.
And the other side is get the freak off the floor.
Right.
I'm sorry. Get off that floor and go in your room and let us see what you're doing to negotiating a bill. Like we negotiate contracts.
Right.
Negotiate something, but read the damn thing and actually don't take, and then have the lobbyists. You want to bring the lobbyists in behind the back door? Let them come in the front door.
But
Let everyone see them.
two things on this: that the U.S. credit card is at reached a high point since 2010, and then also you got meat companies that are using meat glue to glue up scraps of prime rib to take advantage of you. Why aren't they? Congress should be having these people on the carpet explaining why it's like this. We know why because why should credit cards be able to charge you 30% interest?
right.
Isn't that usury?
Well, it's way more beyond usury. I mean, usuries are usually. I mean,
They all claim to be Bible thumpers.
well, it's like. Well, the thing is, actually,
They do, don't
yeah,
they?
yeah. I mean,
Uh-huh.
First thing they want to do is raise up that Bible and call themselves Christians.
mhm.
And then go around.
But they let usury happen every day, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, the thing is, Christians aren't supposed to engage in it. We allow it to be because let's face it, if you look at all your investments, that's what it is usury. I mean, with stock purchase and
The
stuff.
other thing that's stupid, you go to Walmart and then some kind of third party thing pops up and asks you if you want to pay for your food with credit.
oh,
A
God.
firm shows
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
on there
Oh, wow.
and they charge like 29% interest, but you only have to pay like $5 a month for the next 3 years.
Yeah, for groceries you consume within a few hours, from a
Well,
couple of days.
Here's the deal. I had set up on one thing today because we are like trying to get some. We had to get new machinery for some project we're working on, right? So I was working on different
Yeah.
loans programs today, and I had one loan come up. You know what they want to charge me?
What?
They wanted me to for $800. They wanted me to pay back 494% yearly annual interest.
494%.
Yeah, there's another one, and if you go on these different credit cards that people are getting, where they're online on TikTok, when you see them, they're like, "Oh yeah, you can get a loan today." Get over there. What you don't see in the back part of it is, I just wanted to see what it was like. I went over to it and looked at it. Guess what? Every one of those interest rates are 70% to 500, 600% interest.
And they also take away money for setup fees and different things.
Yeah.
So if they say you're getting a $3,000 loan, they'll take almost $300 in fees for
Oh, yeah.
setting that loan up, and like sending the money to your bank account, doing this and doing that.
And here's the thing. The thing that I always look for, okay, so working in different places, and even the community room right now, one of the things that I get is that people with bad credit, everyone goes after them, right?
Right.
Everybody does. And everybody has a failure, and you go through bankruptcy and stuff like that, and people try to get through all that. But what I don't understand about this is why the heck? Because they've always been They've always been hacked. All the credit card all the credit card, all the credit, um, all of your credit score places have been hacked. Everyone's been hacked. My thought is clean it all out to where everyone's at one clear level. If you want to do reparations for everybody across the country. Clean out all the debt. Anyways, because we already paid all
That's
the debt.
never
as a
gonna
government,
happen.
but they should.
Well, the years ago, okay, I'm going to go Bible because that's I'm supposed to be the Bible expert of the panel, although you went to seminary. But anyway, look at you had the year of Jubilee amongst the ancient
7 years.
every 7 years, all debts are forgiven.
And that's why the credit report
Every 7
things only
years, yeah.
stay on your credit.
Right. See,
They're supposed to, but they aren't. On
But what
because
I'm
the people
saying is
sell them.
that the usual
Right.
time frame is 7 years,
Yeah.
and that comes directly from the Bible.
right. So why can't we? And the
Yeah,
thing
that's where the Bible thumpers did do something right in
Yeah.
the Congress.
was if we create a if the economy is basically a lick and a promise, that's all it is. I mean, it's a illusion. Okay, we don't have stability. The money means nothing in our
No,
pockets.
you
it's
don't
debt.
own anything.
No, you don't own anything.
People say, "Oh, I paid off my house," but you
Did
still
you
have
really?
to pay taxes, and you could lose it. Don't pay taxes. See what happens.
Yeah. So I
So
mean,
yours are going to come to your door and go, "Hi."
you see, we
you-
exist. We exist as the average taxpayer.
We're slaves.
We're slaves to. So we can actually, for the people who hold office, we are their income source. We are nothing different than that. We are nothing more than fatted sheep for slaughter for them people. That's all we are.
Mhm.
I mean, they're supposed to protect and they're supposed to be serving us. The only thing they ever serve is their own interest. Get over this fact that these people out there are not your friend.
Oh,
None of them.
Don't make me go off on Mr. Suspenders and Mr. Fancy.
Oh,
Pants.
God, I
Please.
I'm
Go
sick.
ahead.
People
It's-
treat them like rock stars.
Yeah.
I can't. Every time Kennedy gets in there and he goes off on one of the ABC's 1, 2, 3s that he's supposed to have oversight, and he acts like a woman with the dress on fire when he hears what they have to say about something that he should know
Right.
because he's supposed to oversee them, and then get his little soundbite and then go to lunch with them
Yes.
10 minutes later.
'Cause they pay
I got
attention.
you good today, didn't I, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm
You
going
sure
to get you
did.
back. Yeah. My dad said that they were like that. My dad said he used to be big into professional wrestling. He used to go to he used to down Detroit area. They used to be in pull up in limos and they're all partying before and after the bouts and all this.
But then they're enemies,
Yeah,
sworn
yeah,
enemies
yeah.
when they go up to the ring.
And he goes, you see these people that are trading shots at each other during this Congress, and actually, if you guys watch Parliament, they're even worse. I mean, they're actually really funny. They're entertaining, but
Oh, yeah.
much more entertaining.
But
But
here's the thing, you're talking to dead air.
Right.
You're not doing a damn thing but talking.
No,
to dead
and
air.
then I found that out too. Most of these people when they're doing their little speeches
Yeah.
and they got their
There's
little
no-
boards up, there's nobody in the room.
right,
Except for
It's
the
just
stupid
them,
guy that's calling
them
time.
and the guy who's calling time, like you said.
Who's bored
That's
to
it.
death because you're up there giving a 15-minute speech. About nothing.
Well, it's like it's all. I mean, it's like John Connors when he talked about the Affordable Care Act. Somebody asked him did you read? It's all right. He's like, hold on, read it. Oh my God, it's like making fun of people asking that question. You son of a bitches are supposed to be the ones who write it. So if you're not writing, you're not reading it. Why the hell should we believe anything it says? Why should we pass it? Why should we be happy when you pass it? It's
The problem
ridiculous.
is they don't write it. They pass them over to different people, and those people write
Nah,
it. They
they're
come back in.
no, they don't even know some of the bills that are coming down
No.
the pipe.
All
Because
they know is they
people
put their
that-
name on
what
it.
is it? Is it K Street, right? Is it K Street? Where the lobbyists are.
Yeah.
Yes.
They give them the bill. Oh, this is our next bill. I didn't even know it was coming.
They
And
give them the
then-
bill, and then they shop it around to who wants to put their name on it,
Oh, I
so they
sponsored
can
it.
do it.
Yeah,
So
sounds
they
like
can
you did
sponsor it.
something. I actually worked up a sweat. I dropped my pen twice.
They
I
didn't do
was
a damn
over
thing.
face pens.
And that's the whole thing is you're okay. So you want a pay raise for doing nothing.
The pay raises. I don't care if they get a pay raise. Or not.
I do care. I do care.
It's just not even a drop in the bucket.
It's a drop. It's
Although,
not drop.
no,
it's
because
pretending.
what they do is they spend they pretend it's a game.
Okay, but here's
I'm
the
sure that they got some company that writes their scripts for each quarter.
You
This
know-
is what we're going to do at the beginning, and we're going to
this
let the American people have outrage over this, and then we'll go into this and we'll make them happy, and then they can have outrage over this. It's a freaking smoke and mirrors if you haven't
Okay,
figured it out.
But if you don't want smoke and mirrors, you
Oh,
need to stop.
but
You
you're-
let them
you're-
have smoke and mirrors.
But right now, they shouldn't get paid. But what about all the other bullshit that they're doing? You're worried about their pay, but they're doing crazy shit every day.
Well,
Look
can't-
at
the
the
only way you stop it is
Festivus.
to clean the house.
Festivus. The Rand Paul does it every year, but everybody laughs about it. We're sending $2 billion to influencers in Ukraine. That's funny. But they don't change. They do the same thing every year.
Yeah, you just
I think
You're
you should-
upset because they're
I'm
gonna get
upset because you know what?
$6,000.
I'm upset because honestly, here's the deal. If you did this in any other system, any other industry,
But we do it every year.
we don't get a raise. They get a raise for sitting on their asses and not doing a
They
damn
haven't
thing.
got a raise
I don't
in
give a
over
shit
10 years.
if it's a penny. They didn't deserve it.
Okay,
they don't
but
need to
what
get
I'm
it.
saying is you're looking
At a penny, yeah, I'm looking at $6,000.
you're upset about the pay
$10,000.
raise, but
Because they
what
get
about
that
the
forever.
money they're sending to Ukraine?
That pisses me off. But the
I
problem
think
is
it should piss you off more than them getting a pay raise.
every one of it pisses me off. I'm picking the one that. We
But
can
you're
actually do
focused
something
on the stupidest thing.
That's not the stupidest thing because honestly, if you start paying their money back,
What do you think,
then
John?
they'll start working on it.
I
You
can
think it's a
understand what,
game, like I tried to explain.
it's a game, but I mean, we got to. I mean, I don't know what it was we're supposed to do. Okay, we'll just let them go. It's a drop in the bucket. Okay, legitimately, that might be the right way of thinking. But at some point, we gotta say we just can't allow this to continue. We can't allow you
But
guys to
do
do
you
the same
think-
thing over and over
How
again.
many drops in the bucket can you have before
Right.
you get pissed off?
Right.
How full does it
How
have
many
to be?
wars we gotta be involved in?
Okay, do you remember your parents going off when you were growing up about the Congress
Yeah,
sucks?
and-
Oh hell yeah!
Okay, it's
I remember
been
getting a
going
phone call.
on. It's been going on ever
I remember
since
getting a
it
phone call when I was
started.
in
Okay, so but are we supposed to just let? I mean, it's not supposed to. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we can make one thing something the hill to die on. Okay, I have an issue coming up with which one would be worthwhile to do that
But
on.
do you think what Elon and Vivek did with this last
That will stop.
bill as the beginning? I think it's the beginning of the end for all their little.
Oh yeah,
games.
because ever since then they have been trying to find everything that they can do to go against Vec or Elon.
Yeah.
They've been trying to say, oh,
like this
these
H1,
people are not- these
H1
Republicans aren't-
visa. I think it's 100. I don't even think it's 200,000 people a year that they come in. I forget.
Some
what the
guy
numbers are.
decided
The
to
numbers
come up
aren't even that big. That with the H1
Right.
visas. But the more I look into it, it sort of pisses me off because what happens is they bring these people in because they're friends and family.
Right.
Because a lot of, I'm sorry to say, it's the Indians that are taking advantage of it. But they're still outsourcing overseas.
Right.
So what they'll do is they'll bring their friends and family in under the H1 visa,
right?
and then also what's it called? Chain migration happens because they'll do their time with the H1 with the visa,
Right.
and then they'll become American citizens, and then they'll bring the whole family over.
Right.
But at the same time, they come in and then they just contract their job out to someone overseas.
Well, you know why they do that.
I just told you, chain migration.
No, I know chain migration, but you understand the other side of the economical reason why businesses do that.
Well, who does it?
When
I
businesses
just
get into it.
explained the whole thing.
You explained the H-1B, and I understand the chain immigration, but what you didn't explain is why a business does it. A business will bring somebody over
because they get
technology.
money.
Because they can't do.
If I'm going to do, I want to write a program, right? If I want to write a program in America today, most places,
If I want to write
most
program,
coders are going to be $250 an hour to do it.
I
most
know
guys over
that's
in
why
Indiana-
they do
most
it.
guys
They
in
get people
India-
from overseas to do it.
Most guys in
There was
India
people
are-
who were having people from
less
India
involved.
and overseas do their job at being at home where they could work at home and outsourcing their job to
and these
somebody
guys
in
that are supposed
India.
to be coming over here to do this, and they're bringing
That's
us
what I
along
just
with it.
said. You're repeating everything that I just said.
I'm not repeating the economical part that you didn't touch about. The part what you talked about is what they bring their families over. I'm talking about the economical impact, what it does to a business, and why a business does it. They
To
bring
save
these-
money.
right, because they bring a person over. One person can work with the whole team over there, versus us trying to understand all the language improvisation stuff like that. Because I worked with two companies that did this. This is what they do out in Florida.
Either way, it's dropping. That's another drop in a bucket that we're getting
Oh.
all pissed off. Like I
bucket's
said,
gonna
it's
get
less
filled.
than 200,000 people a year.
But okay, but if they're a critical area, so that can actually have very impact in just those numbers. If it's something that could be crucial, say for infrastructure or for our defense, we're allowing foreigners to create the programs and stuff for our civil defense or whatever. That's significant.
Well, okay,
for security.
okay.
Because
When's
we've
the
done
last
that since-
time? When's the last time you got a phone call from your bank and it turns out to be somebody overseas that has all your information?
Yeah, several times. Yeah, it's
Every day.
It's not good. Okay.
It's
So,
the same thing.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's a big problem. Zell is like Zell and J.P. Morgan and Wells Fargo right now are because they're on hot water because of the fraudulent things going on with that Zelle, that
Mhm.
online, and that impacted on me this past summer.
Right.
I got a call from Wells Fargo, and I don't have an account with Wells Fargo, but they kept on. They knew enough about my accounts and stuff like that. And when I called the number back, it went right to a Wells Fargo number, a legitimate number. So I went online, checked out all the line, same number. Is Wells Fargo? To me, Wells Fargo know that these guys are doing the phishing and doing all this other stuff. They were getting the money from it because Wells Fargo is the same bank was opened up a people's accounts without their permission.
And then you told me that the person that you talked about, they knew about what it going on.
Yeah, I talked to a guy at Wells Fargo. He also sounded like he routed over to another country. Like India. He
Right.
sounded like he was Indian, and he said, "We're aware of the problem. We're trying to address it." Very, very milk toasters. Very
Very
BS.
nonchalant.
Yeah, nonchalant. So I mean, that's the thing is we want convenience. I don't know what's wrong with having people. Okay, they're going to have to pay people more, but have it where the numbers cannot be routed to an overseas location.
You're not paying a lot of people in that industry to do that. I don't see where the savings are. I
Yeah,
really don't.
I don't either. I don't either. I mean,
And I'm getting tired of
Savings,
I'll tell you what I
the
really get
savings.
tired of is something that okay, it's a drop in the bucket for me today. But it was this. I want to go off for a second, but here's the thing. Try to get on the VA.gov and try to do that right. If you're
There's
over
nothing you can do with. I'm sorry, the VA is broken. People, the website, especially, but the VA Health,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. That
Yeah.
works fine. They're
Right.
always trying to screw that one up with
Yeah.
their changes. It's easy to go on there and see what meds that
you have
your
them, so
refills.
right.
It's easy to talk to your doctors. I'm surprised they haven't screwed that one up yet.
That's the only one that actually works. I was trying to get on VA.gov today to get just one paper. Do you know the things I had to go through different people and go to foreign people, talking to foreign people to try to get one thing done today?
they shouldn't have anything to do with
Or just
our
try to
military
go
records.
look at your disabilities.
That's what I was looking at. I was trying to-
Try to go look at what because I always forget. I got so many.
right.
And one medal's one of them. If you haven't noticed, by the way.
No,
But what I'm saying is sometimes I forget which leg is which, and I know right and left, but I mean which one
Right,
has
left,
more than the other as far as percentages.
right.
But you try to go. You just want to go and look at it.
You can't do it.
You have to dig through. You have to go here and that. The government sucks.
And don't ever get that email shut off because you're never gonna get back into VA.gov.
You're just talking
But they
about
want-
the one that you have. Yeah,
Because then they also send you to. You have to go to. Your
I
website,
do.
you
I
have
do
to
the
go to your
ID.
phone.
I do the ID one.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I went to the ID, and then it sends you over here. Well, then guess what? Now they're having a problem with the ID
Yeah.
thing to give you the code, so you can't get on. So now you have to go in here and go through all their different
It's
things. And then they're
stupid.
telling you to
You
drop off
go.
your phone,
You gotta have
do
a.
this, do that.
You gotta have a big old long password to log on to the website. Then it wants you to do an email, and then it wants to do a text or a call to your phone. So come on, man.
Or they want you.
What does a guy do that can't see?
Right.
Or what is a 90-year-old guy that can't figure out all the different things going on, or an 80-year-old guy?
Well, I
that's
mean,
a-
look,
okay.
we're 60. I'm 60,
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
you're
having
not-
problems.
You're right, and I'm 50 and I'm having problems, and I'm trying to think about what happens with the older guys. But this is how you deal with your pay. This is how you deal with your talking to your diet. This is how you deal with
Well,
everything.
My pay is not really. They haven't really
Well,
screwed
not that
up
one
yet.
yet, but this is a different one. But this is where you get your disability and your different things
Right.
like that. So a lot of people can't go in there and figure out what their disability is for the last of the year and stuff like that.
Like they're
to get all this
hiding
stuff.
it on
Yeah.
purpose.
It's like, are you freaking stupid?
You don't want that answered. They are.
But this is but we are so worried about Ukraine, which Steve said before we even got in here, and which they're going to come across with the next week. When Trump comes out, you'll probably announce it
Yeah.
more. They're actually coming to a point where both sides aren't happy with the negotiation plan that Trump put forward, and that's a good deal.
But you wouldn't
because
even,
you want both sides.
Well,
not
you
to be
wouldn't
happy
even
with
know
it.
with our media that,
No.
that there's discussions going on right now. Like recently, they're going to have a prisoner exchange.
Yeah, that's not on CNN, SNBC, ABC, CBS.
No, because it's not good for Biden.
Because Biden is basically he's inept. Let's face it, he's been propped up. He's basically somebody's prying his way up his anus and probably patrolling him.
This is what you should be concerned about: is who's running our fucking country.
Right now,
No, I mean, no, I'm not asking you because you don't know anymore.
No,
I'm
neither- right.
saying who.
I would say the
who's
guy,
running it.
the drug dealer. I would say.
Okay, you're missing my point.
No, I know. I'm not
saying
missing your
you
point.
should be concerned that you've got ancillary people running our country right now.
Right. That part is scary.
It should be scary because they could take us to war before President
Trump gets in.
Trump gets in.
And then they're going to dump all the blame on him. They'll guarantee it. I mean, the Democrats and the
Well,
media.
you know they're setting them up right now.
Well, yeah,
for
they're-
something. But I'm
They're trying
sorry.
to.
I'm sort of. I mean, I'm happy, but I don't know how to explain it. It's a good thing that for Trump that Carter died because the burial is not going to take place to the 9th of
January.
January. So this is going to be in the media, the legacy of Carter
Right.
until the 9th.
Yeah.
So they got 11 days. Well, not 11, but 10 days,
10 days.
10 days and 12 hours to screw things up.
So, Mr. Trump have somebody checking at every level on everything.
Well, that's another good thing about it. He did with his own. He did it with the what's the word I'm looking for? The switchover. He paid for it out of his own pocket.
The transition.
That meaning that they don't have his phone records. That they don't have.
Right.
They don't have his. I mean, I'm sure he's going to have to turn those over eventually.
Right.
But right now, they can't scrutinize every little thing that he's doing.
But I just think it's interesting that Biden's been in power for, since he got elected into almost over a little 3.5 years ago now. Now everything is like that war's been going on for 2 years now, right? Roughly 2 years.
Mm.
Now things are coming. It looks like the bright riot rays showing up, and just as he's coming to office, Trump's coming to office. They can't say that that's just a coincidental thing.
Oh yeah.
They cannot, no way in hell say it's just coincidental. It's a lot like when Reagan came into office after Carter. He had the Iranian hostage crisis going on. As soon as it looked like Reagan was stepping into the White House, our
It
hostages
was the same. Was the same day, wasn't it?
Within the
When they were released. No, was before, wasn't it?
It was like 12 hours before.
Yeah, 12 hours before. Like I remember hearing that the plane was in the air from leaving that airspace where they were held
And
into
they
going
did
to
it.
Germany.
They did
Yeah.
it because of what Reagan said, and they did it.
He warned
because of
them.
Reagan. Yeah.
It's
Just
He
like
said-
Trump warned. I'm sure he's warning people, telling them what's what before he gets in there because he knows that he's only got 100 days to really put his head down and get a lot of things done. After that, he's going to be fighting with everybody.
right.
It's going to be a war.
And it's
It
probably-
even seems like it's going to be a war with the dumb Republicans, where I don't understand. I swear to God, can't they just get their act together one time and stop telling me you can't get lock and step to work together.
Right.
I'm so sick and tired of hearing,
Well,
this should be a good thing. Is we can fight with each
Joni
other.
Ernst got the message, didn't she?
She did.
She sort of switched her tune on a lot of things really
Yeah.
fast. Once Musk said that maybe we'll just primary your butt when it comes time for re-election.
I think the thing is that one of the smartest moves that Trump's did is where he didn't have Musk and Vivek have to go through Senate appropriations
Mhm.
and actually get their nod, so they can come to work and go to work right away and start cutting things and showing spotlights on a lot of things. And I
Oh,
think
they
now
work
spotlights-
directly for Trump.
Right.
Yeah,
There's no oversight at all because all
and that pisses off.
they're
Congress.
just advisors when it comes down to pen and paper or whatever on paper what their role is.
Right. And the best part is that it pisses off the Senate so much and the Congress so much because guess what? They're bringing, like you said, they're bringing sunshine to a lot of shit that's been pushed underneath that table.
Yeah.
But what do you think, John? What do you think? The first time that Congress wants something passed and Trump says, "I'm not going to fund it."
Oh, they're gonna. I don't know. I think they're basically gonna, what? We never had that. We never had that before.
What do you mean we can't?
We can't do that. That's my initial reaction. They're going to say they're just going to be dumbfounded. I guess the best expression. They're going to be aghast. You got to go along with this. That's the way we do things.
Well, who are they going to cry to? Because nobody's watching CNN anymore.
Well, they're going to go right. Maybe they're going to go. Maybe there's a positive outfit like this. Maybe if there's something they want to push through, and Trump says no, they might have to go to their constituents. And if they could, and I think 2 or 3 times before I hit them up with something like, he's not funding this. But now you have to explain what this is.
Right.
Does it really crucial? Is it going to help us? Well, then
Yeah.
what the hell are you
Explain
doing? it
the
for?
whole thing.
Right.
Explain the owl too.
So that's-
you know.
So either way, I think him saying no is probably a good thing because if there's a crucial thing, he might be able to pass
But
it.
I think
anyway.
a lot of people are going to be surprised when they do. They have a list, and they're going to invalidate not election day, but inauguration day. They'll probably say these are the following agencies that didn't go through Congress, and they're no longer valid agencies.
Right. I think so.
And it's like, okay, did you ever think about this? All these bureaucrats that might be based out of these alphabet letter type of government programs, agencies. Man, they're like gonna be like hired guns. I mean, just they're gonna be
Well,
pissed
I
off.
don't see the average person like us that like I worked at the VA. You know what I mean? I don't see people the working.
Yeah,
guy.
Right.
I don't want them to suffer.
no,
But the administrators,
they're
The
gonna
guys
be
up in DC that are doing anything, they need to get their acts together.
Because
they
they're-
need to get their heads
although-
on their asses.
because you're gonna have to watch them because they got access to stuff that might be really crucial for us, and they would probably spike the cannon, so to speak. They can't have it anymore, so they're gonna try to do sabotage. I mean, you can't rule that out.
Well, the deep state's going to do whatever they can do to hold whatever power they can hold. But I think that the smartest move that Trump did was keep those two guys separate, like you said, as advisors. Because guess what? They're going to do a lot with social media to show people a lot of things that these guys have been hiding in our lifetime and even before our lifetime. Some of these guys have been in that place for 40 years.
Yeah,
What the hell have you done in 40 years?
well, look at Fauci.
Kept their office.
Fauci, what was it? That was 40 something
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Wasn't it?
Wasn't
Yeah.
Carter the one to put him in, or was it
I don't
Bush?
remember who. Well,
Who
he
put
was-
him in?
I don't know, but I know he
Well,
was
you
there during the
remember-
Reagan era.
You remember what was the name of that movie that it was something Philadelphia Project, was
Yeah,
it?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I think his name was even mentioned in that movie, wasn't
And that
it?
was in the 80s.
Yeah, those 80s, and like I said, it was during the Reagan administration, during the what they call the AIDS crisis.
Right.
When there was realization and they're acknowledging that this is going on. I mean, I don't know if you ever read the backstory behind that, but the HIV crisis and stuff like that.
But a lot of that crisis was BS.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
it wasn't as big as they said it
Oh
was.
God, no.
It was big pharma going in
Yeah.
to make money when they could because it was a vacuum. There was no way. Not like today. There's so many smart people they just love to jump on stuff when it
Right.
comes out and investigate it, and they'll let people know. It may take a little bit of time because they'll first call them conspiracy theorists. I mean, look at Alex Jones.
Right.
How many things come true to what that man was saying?
When he was-
They made fun of him about the frogs,
Right.
about the frogs being gay. I mean, maybe it wasn't the best terminology,
Terminology or
but
analogy.
what he was saying was true. The frogs were becoming asexual and not wanting to appropriate.
That just goes to show that
Because of different projects they were doing in lab.
it just shows how the fragile.
Go ahead.
It just shows the fragileness too of what we think was that's biology. You can't identify. You can't argue with biology. These people are legitimately trying to change the biology by saying this is sexist or
But
racist.
that
or
was
whatever.
it came from runoffs from the farmers'
Right.
fields into the ecosystem, and then of course it's going to end up in our water.
Well, look at Tommy. When I was a kid, we're seeing now I was an environmentalist guy. I consider myself an environmentalist, not a wacko or anything, but I thought you should take care of the earth, and I thought that was a good thing to do. And back then, back in the 70s, I remember there were frogs that actually were having different things growing on them because of exposure to
What about the
radioactive
fish in
material.
Lake Erie? I think it was the worst. But
Right.
it was also in Lake Michigan that they were pulling all these fish out of the water with these weird cancerous
Growths on 'em.
growths on them
Right.
and different things.
Well, look at that Japanese nuclear plant. It's still spewing stuff on the ocean. Nobody mentions that. I mean, how many billions of gallons of radioactive material
think
went into
they-
the ocean?
How
How
much
much,
say
do you think how much do you think we put in from Michigan and Flint when we were building all those cars here?
Oh, I don't want to hazard. I basically believe.
Luckily, though, that went down.
Yeah, that went down to Detroit. That's
Well,
where
me and my friends used because
Well, we get Detroit water up.
Yeah,
so
so
now we
it
brought
comes
it back
back.
up. Yeah, we brought it back.
it's imported. It's re-imported back to us.
Where's
We
the-
missed it. We went through the first pass without harm, but no. I mean, serious. We used to joke about we probably when they put us in the ground, we probably won't break down because it can probably glow. Our particles will glow. I mean, we're between the smokestacks of Buick and AC here. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where this place is located.
No,
Yeah.
we're gonna glow into the day.
But
that-
all think about it. If you go get cereal, you can't get away from additives and weird.
unless you make your product from the ground up, you
can't control all.
can't control.
I mean,
But what we're seeing is the generations that are coming up are having more health issues than ever before.
Well, I think obesity. I think ADHD.
And we don't smoke and we don't drink.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All those stuff is chemicals that stuff and innocuous stuff like potato chips and
Vaping.
Do you ever see those one like it's an off it's kind of a new brand of snack chips that are like, I mean these are like neon orange. I mean,
Yeah.
why would anybody? I mean, I tried one. I got to admit, okay, it was all. I mean, so much so much flavor, so much stuff in it. I couldn't. It was overwhelming. And it was like also this. I was like, man, I was going to say, and my hands were. I was expecting to be radioactive. You
I
know,
think I've seen those. I've
Yeah.
seen the bags. I'm like, yeah, no.
they got some. They got some garbage out there for snacky snacks.
Yeah, especially if you get it from like Dollar Tree, that like their off-brand things.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
tough.
got. Have you ever tried their off-brand Pringles?
Yeah, not
They
good.
just taste like chemical.
Well, like another thing is too, like
They are. Your
Oh,
phone's
well,
holding it together.
I'll throw something in here too that's not usually not in our talk, notes, but it's like they say the food deserts and stuff like in ghetto areas and stuff, which we are in the middle
Right.
of. The foods that are available to the stores there, my God, they're just like horrible foods that are available, and people eat it because it's cheap. You know why? What does it take?
Go ahead.
What is potato chips and all this other stuff, all this garbage? Why is it so inexpensive where you can't get a salad without paying $7 for it?
Well, yeah, but then you got to worry about what type of lettuce you get.
Right,
but
how many bugs are coming out of that?
Recently, I bought some cheap potato chips, and I opened it up, poured it out. There's nothing in there.
Right.
I know, really. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to make a joke. There was hardly any chips in that bag.
Yeah, it's about this much of the area, this much chip.
We're getting scammed so hard.
Yeah.
Where? What was his name? Ralph. Where's Ralph Nader when you need him?
Well, his bailiwick was automobiles, but hey, he reemerged, man. Going
Well,
hey,
he
that
was
might be a good thing.
consumer, but he was for the consumer. And his agency, well, I forget what there was a couple agencies that he created that help people.
As much as we had, of course, we lived in the auto industry belt, and a lot of people hated him. They vilified him, they mocked him and stuff like that. But Ralph Nader did a lot of important work, and I
Put
gotta
safety
give-
belts in
safety-
cars.
Yeah, I mean, he was. As much as you want to say he was a leftist, he wasn't. I don't. Anybody
Right,
concerned
exactly.
about somebody else, I guess, considered a leftist. I guess in a way, I'm going to become a leftist.
I
you
don't
know?
think no. I think if you do anything anymore, you're considered. If you do anything that's pro America, you're considered a nut job
Right.
in a lot of people's eyes. You're not considered anything. It used to be the better thing to be a patriot. Now it's like, oh, don't. If you're not world minded,
Yeah.
I think that-
I get tired of it.
Part of the problem is that he was a nerdy intellectual,
Right.
And they played on that, and that he had no real personality. He would just go out and say what was wrong, and he
That was
didn't
it.
sugarcoat anything.
Yeah, it's just, so I mean,
Don't you really want that? Don't you want somebody to just?
When it comes to something like that, yeah.
there's like a lot of people who I used to consider to be on the left because a lot of people who I was growing up around didn't like the person like Ralph Nader, Noam Chomsky, all this stuff. Now I'm reading stuff and I'm seeing the situation. They were on the left, I can't deny it, but they were actually looking out for America's interest as much as they could. I mean, it being a leftist because they're always been internationalist minded,
Right.
But they're crying stuff and denouncing stuff, and people saying, "Well, you're just leftist." Well, we should have probably listened to them voices more. Those voices
But
more.
don't you think a lot that like GM and Buick at the time and AC got together and they did a propaganda campaign
Oh, yeah.
against the guy
yeah.
to try to make him, he wears pink socks.
Well, years ago there was like in the neighborhood because
I don't know if he wore pink socks.
I don't know if you
But
did.
it's good
Yeah, I
one.
mean, I remember something like I really
It's a
truly
good
believe
plug on
something
that
was like
one.
they were, but anyway, they had like people were noticing that back when they put Buick plant over here across the river, no longer there, by the way. People were saying like, we don't have the fish we used to have, and the fish populations, a lot of them are dead. So
Right.
they held the GM held a big picnic on the things on the shores of the the
And
river,
these are fish.
and they said, well, that's nice and stuff, but if we do this, your jobs are going to go away. And this was really early on. This is like 1930s, 1940s, maybe 20s, 30s, whatever. And so basically, people, their objections just disappeared overnight because they're threatening their
Yeah.
jobs. So I mean,
Well, here's the deal: either A, you get a paycheck,
right,
and we do everything you want, and you don't get a paycheck. You figure out what you want.
right. And so I mean, it's face you put it in economic terms like that, everybody's going to have to look the other way because I mean, we're all powerless. I mean, the average person's powerless. Even if you have a few $1,000s or $100,000 in a bank account, unless
still
you're billions, you're powerless. Okay.
But
Unless
here-
with your big boys,
here may be something that little bit funny that I think it's crazy. A major medical marijuana, the major, not medical, but marijuana
marijuana.
brand has been sued twice in 1 month by users claiming psychosis.
You think?
It's like, okay, I remember hearing that And then I'm for legalization of it because I think, but because I don't think the efforts to, I think it's ridiculous. To
But
try
the
to force-
drug has been around long enough,
It's been-
and you have the internet.
It's one of,
Do you really think they should be able to sue them?
no, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so because it's like,
But people right now want to see anything.
that's the quick road. I mean, what,
I drove my car. I blew an engine. I want to sue the manufacturer because I didn't put oil in
But
it.
it's funny though. That's one of the things that they say that in the
Could cause psychosis.
psychosis, and it could trigger schizophrenia.
see, I knew guys in school that actually started smoking weed and they were, borderline schizophrenic or had the propensity towards it, and that emerged after smoking weed. I mean, nothing's harmless. Nothing is harmless. No drug is harmless. This stuff right here, the Diet Coke,
Chocolate's not harmless.
it's not harmless. You do it for effect. So guess what? That chemical, and some people might be overly sensitive to it, over accumulative effects on it. Look at peanut butter. Who the hell thought people were going to be that deadly, sick or allergic to peanut butter? See, what it is I think a lot of this stuff develops because we had so many other chemicals in there that all of a sudden one more basically the the
But it
last
goes
straw.
back to biology and mutations.
Right, exactly.
Some mutations aren't, like peanut butter allergy. It's not a good mutation.
No, it's not. I mean, and
I
it emerges because of all the other chemical exposures.
Right.
I think Well, you deal with probably
People are with our red wine, R1,
Yeah.
red color, food coloring. People have problems with chocolate. People have problems with dairy. People have problems with lactose, and people have problems with gluten. I mean, you just can't please everybody. You can just make a product that you can do, make sure it's a quality product. But so many people right now are doing two things. The big guys are trying to cut all their corners they can and bring cheap shit in with more chemicals.
Right.
Well,
younger
but
guys are
getting
trying to do the
getting back to the marijuana.
Mhm.
I don't
How
think
does
you-
everything that you're saying go?
You can't sue them. I think it's the dumbest thing for somebody to try to sue somebody because they got psychosis. On the thing, it says warning.
Do you
could
think
cause
we need?
psychosis.
Do you think we need litigation reform in the United States?
Oh yeah.
I think-
Oh yeah.
Can we
That if
actually-
you tell them, look, if you lose, you're gonna pay half of what you're asking for.
I think you say that to the attorney
Yes.
because honestly, the attorneys are taking too many freaking, and then they go in these lawsuits. Because you know what, something like that, even though it's funny for us to watch and read it right now, I guarantee that's going to end up on the floor with no one else listening, but someone's going to sit there and say, "I rise today to talk about how the problem of marijuana could cause psychosis and schizophrenia," and people are going to have to listen to it, and there's going to be a bill from somebody who want to go into it, and then next thing you know, you go to else right because you're going to have some right-wing Republican who's going to say, "I'm a Christian, anti-family."
But okay, but you should, if you're a Christian, you should be unapologetic. If you're a true Christian, you follow the Bible, then yeah, that's what you should do, and you should be unapologetic for it.
Right.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
But just stop
I mean, if
using
you,
that term for anything. I'm
But-
tired of people using the word Christian for this, whatever they want to use it for.
but what I'm saying is, somebody stands up as a Christian and they say something, you shouldn't be making fun of them, but that's what people do.
Because
They
I mean,
blow him off because he's a Bible thumper.
well, because too many people have taken it down that road. Too many people instead of just standing. up
I
and
think
saying,
there's more people on the other side that fear you
Oh.
being a Christian that are spending money to make Christians look
well, look at
bad.
Bill
Look what-
Maher. He spent all those years trying to disprove Christianity. Look at Josh McDowell.
Yeah.
He wrote two big books. One called Evidence and Men's Verdict,
And more
21,
evidence, yeah.
verse and 2.
You're right.
And what he was is he was an atheist, a lawyer, big time lawyer at the time when he wrote it, went out to destroy Christianity, figured out, guess what? I'm wrong. Wrote two huge books about exactly the whole thing. Bill Maher comes out 20 years later and tries to go around and trying to do everything, but doesn't even read any of the facts that somebody that went before him actually laid out. He tried to make it look as a comedy to make everybody look stupid.
Right.
You know, oh, look at these guys. I'm over here and they're talking about something. They got a cow coming around and someone's whipping the cow in the back and so on. Oh, that's what Christianity's all about. I mean, I'm just saying that's what he would do. But if you really want to see it, if you're an atheist, I think you're right, Steve. A lot of people are scared when a person's a Christian, a real true Christian, because they're scared of on the other side because this person actually has a faith. And you're sitting there trying to mock them because you have nothing else. You have nothing else. When you have to mock someone to get somewhere, then you're done. You've lost all evidence. You've lost all. In my eyes, you've lost the argument.
Yeah, it's like basically that's how it is. That's your attack. Well, my motive attack was what they call that. You just ad what is it? Ad hoc. That's what
Yeah.
ad hoc, kind of argument. I mean, let's face it. What's really weird in this culture, though, a person could be a Muslim and they're demanding the stuff that Islam does, and which is totally contrary to our standards,
But
like feminism
I
and all
think
this
that,
stuff.
but I think okay. I think the Muslims are giving them a bad name because what do they really? They really
Well,
don't do
they've
anything.
done it in other countries, though, Steve. They have. I mean, and we
Maybe in
don't-
other countries, but I'm talking about in our country. What I mean, you can try to blame. I mean, if the more you look into 9/11, the more angry you get.
oh, it's like, oh, believe me, well, what I didn't like even back then, they were presenting passport pictures of the actual passports of the alleged
They had
actual
'em.
hijackers. They had them. Like, how the hell do you find in all that debris field? You know, you hit struck buildings, massive tonnage of bricks and glass and all this, shards and all
But
this
you
stuff.
know
You
who
find
they
these?
were.
Yeah, you knew exactly who these people were because you had them.
Were you holding them
How
for
the
next
hell
time?
did you get them that
But what
fast?
I'm saying is, the Muslims are always the boogeyman.
Well, it's true. I mean, well, let's face it. Who do we support? Carte blanche right now. If you can't say anything about the hundreds of thousands of people being murdered over and killed in Gaza, as soon as you say that, as soon as you raise a criticism, you're an anti-Semite, you're a Nazi.
And
Gee,
and that brings it back to TikTok. The Biden is trying to act really fast. I mean, that he wanted to on the was it the 19th
Yeah.
of next month to go up to the Supreme Court to argue for the TikTok ban.
yeah.
And
See,
Trump come in and said no
See-
because he thinks. Go ahead.
no, I agree. I mean, some people say that they think Donald Trump, if they thought they had so much to hide, this man is allowing an instrument so any of that could be exposed much easier. To he's fighting for its existence to continue.
And it's also a slippery slope because okay, so they start with TikTok, they knock that domino down. Then what did they go to? They go to
X.
X,
All right.
and then they go to Facebook, and then we have nothing.
This be
And
the-
then they're back happy again because we're stupid people and no way to communicate.
And we have to listen to legacy media because legacy media will be the only one that can actually say.
But
anything.
and they're not able to control the narrative, like John Kerry said,
Yeah.
the white noise, because that was another thing that people were actually able to see the devastation that was happening in real time in Gaza,
right.
and they could see who was doing it, and all of a sudden you don't hear it. I mean, it's been how many months, and we really haven't heard anything from Israel
No,
about what's going on.
It's
Everything's
not-
being
just send the
done in
money. They'll keep sending the
secrecy.
money.
because that 15 minutes is done. Now we got to go somewhere else.
Right.
No,
And like,
it's because they know that they did bad,
And
and they can't explain it away.
when you kill people and they drop bombs on them like they did, that was
Well, and continue. I mean, they're bombing the hell out of hospitals. They claim that Hamas has always used them for human shields. Every one of them. Also,
They've always done it.
Yeah, so that's all. Another thing is, though, they have children who have their heads blown off in open areas. You can't tell me they're being used as human shields. They just chose them because they're convenient targets.
I will say this though, honestly, in the other side is that I don't want Sharia law being ran in America.
I don't
I
either.
don't think it's going to
But
be either.
here's the deal: I don't think it is. But if you get enough people to fall asleep, what cracks me up?
Okay,
are
but
the people
but you
who-
don't have the Muslims coming in demanding that the public pay for an electronic little fence all the way around the city, do you?
No,
But the Jews do it. They come into an area
They want the
so they
dome.
can
Yeah.
they can have their little. They can go and fake out God. Oh, we got you, God. We put a fence all the way around the city, so now we can go anywhere in the city, God.
During Sabbath, yeah. I mean, oh, he's trying to find loopholes. I mean, did you ever
That's
hear?
why they make good lawyers.
That's like. Did you ever hear the joke about W.C. Fields, known atheist? Right. One day they caught him. They caught him reading the Bible. So, why are you reading the Bible for? He goes, I'm looking for loopholes. So I mean, yes, I can get away with this. I don't have to believe. But no, I just think it just sounds cynical and it sounds like really. It is. If you create a situation so you just can try to find a ways to circumvent it, then why bother saying you claim you
Why
have any
even
value?
follow a religion?
Right.
If you're not, I mean, how many Christians go and try to find loopholes in the Bible?
Well, I have heard some people say like I
for a
have.
lot of percentage.
I've heard of.
I don't not as much as the Jews. They
No,
got
no.
something for everything
They're-
for what is
Jews-
Shabbos?
What?
What is it called again? The from sundown to sun
Oh,
up
the Sabbath.
Sabbath.
Yeah.
Sabbath.
Yeah.
About even their
Right.
refrigerators, how they if the light doesn't come on, then they can use the refrigerator.
So you take off the light bulb.
They
to
do
try
all
it.
kinds of little
Yeah, I mean,
tricks to get around it. These guys are proud of it. They put it on TikTok.
I
I
mean,
think it's stupid.
They have little light switch that I guess if it turns off and on by itself, that's okay.
yeah. I just all these loopholes. I mean, to me, it's like okay, Christians, you have an obligation. you actually have more of an obligation. That's why I don't like the term Judeo-Christian. There's more requirements on a Christian that you can't even have a bad thought. You're not supposed to think sexual thoughts or thoughts of revenge or
there's
anything else.
bad Christians.
Well, most people are
you
bad
can't be a
Christians, including
perfect.
myself.
People
But
are,
thing
human
is-
beings are imperfect.
Only thing we are as a Christian versus non-Christian. As a Christian is a
And we don't
As a
verse
sinner
it.
saved by grace.
I'm not against anybody.
no. I'm not either. It's the only thing is one person says, "Hey, you know what? I need a God. I have a faith in God."
Good.
And they
I'm
move
happy
forward.
that you have somebody.
That's the difference. That's the only difference. It
I'm
doesn't make
happy
you-
that they have
when you
somebody.
become a Christian, you don't change a different color. You don't add a different hat. You don't add anything.
right.
You know, but people just make a big issue about it, and it's not a big issue.
But I think there's
Christian,
A lot of it is what people perceive and what they hear. They hear the propaganda against being a
like,
Christian.
like you got a
and
guy
they
like
believe
Kenneth
it.
Copeland running around doing stupid crap for the last 40 years,
and I like
saying
to.
stuff like that. Or you got the guy from down Louisiana, Jesse.
Oh,
something.
Jesse Duplantis.
Yeah, who sits
Oh,
there and says he's got the biggest house in Louisiana.
Or who was
And
the
how God-
other guy that
Joel
that
Osteen.
was taking money for people to have them send in their letters, and he's claimed to pray over them. And
Tell
just that the news agency was just showing the dumpsters just full of these people.
Tilden.
They were ripping them open
Yeah.
and taking the money and throwing them away.
Yeah.
Yeah, just see. I don't see. The thing is, I often wonder about that. Is like, why would I? Okay, I got a Bible when I was a kid. I was like 12 years old. You know, I
Right.
got my own Bible, and I read it. Okay, a lot of the stuff that people try to pass off as Christianity is not mentioned in the Bible anywhere. And it's like, okay, well, how do you get away with this? I mean, yes, they had like the Book of Acts. They talk about they blessed napkins and stuff and sent them to people who weren't present in that city so they can receive a healing through. That was in the Book of Acts.
That was the apostles.
See,
that
the
did that.
apostles. They had the apostolic succession. They
Right.
had the connection.
That wasn't a regular deacon or a pastor.
Right, right. And so it's like all these people, but they're willing to send money to this guy who walks around wearing $1,000 suit. You know
Right.
what he's doing with that money. I mean, I went to one church every week. The guy was preaching like, "You can't outgive God." I heard all the things about stewardship, and then I went there for like 2 years. And one day he walks in and he thanks the congregation for the in-ground pool they put in his house. In-ground pool. That's way expensive
In his house.
at his house.
Okay.
At his house, and he thanked the congregation for it. He said, "Of course, any of you can come and use it anytime," which we know if that's not going to work. But anyway,
We're not going to home
and-
on from the next 24
and it's
hours.
like, okay, you're making this guy I knew was probably making 1,000 a week. 1,000 a week. This is in the late 80s.
Mhm.
That's a lot of money back then. All right. And he shouldn't have that much overhead. That church was paid for, plus it gets tax-free status
Right.
because it was a registered church. So I mean, what the hell is it this guy thinking for and I stopped going after that point. And that did it for me. It's like, yeah, this one woman in his congregation was on welfare. And she was giving him $100 a week of her money.
Right.
$100 a week
to the church.
to the
Thinking it's
church.
going to do something.
Yes, yeah,
nice.
think it's. I mean, it's an.
And it goes back to tithing again.
Right.
Where is it in the Bible that says that you need to tithe?
What's in the Old
to-
Testament for the most part?
But back in the old days, like we talked about before on this show, when you were tithing to your own community for
Right.
the good of your community,
Right.
not the good of one man in your community.
There was a time when Moses met, was it Melchizedek?
Melchizedek, yeah.
Yeah, and he gave him
Yeah,
10%.
tithe.
And
Right,
that
10.
was the time where the Bible talks about that as this is what the practice is.
Right, but it was
Right.
but was it not good it was for the good of the people in the community, not just for
That
the
time
church.
wasn't.
That
That time wasn't.
that-
That time was.
They gave
that
it directly to one person
Just
to
one
use
person.
however he wanted to use.
It was a blessing to. It was a blessing to because that
no, yeah.
it wasn't. But in Malachi, it does say bring everything
Into the storehouse, yeah.
storehouse, and then distribute, and to take care of the widows
And orphans.
and the orphans.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what tithing is for.
Because
How many
it's-
people do you see in churches today when their documentations? What church do you see when their documentations come out that they say that that's their mission is give to the widows and the poor and to the orphans?
that doesn't usually there.
Well, they try to get away with it, like get all this free stuff from the government and just be the distributor for it. They didn't pay for it.
No,
there's a
I
lot.
mean, and that brings back to like me and John talked about before that the poor guy who's giving up hours at work to set out there to hand out bottles of water to the community. You should be taking care of your own people first.
Right.
And you shouldn't ask somebody if you know that somebody's taking time off from work and losing money to
you
be
should be
there.
paying them.
You shouldn't allow them to be there.
You should know. You should take care because it says right in Scripture, the man who doesn't take care of his own family is worse than an infidel. You know, it says that right there in the New
But they
Testament.
make him
so-
feel guilty, like
yeah.
he's letting the church down if he's not there.
You know, when I was in church and working a lot, I remember a lot of times that uh, the pastors always felt like we were free slaves
Right.
to them. And that's kind of, except for one or few pastors I had, they were really appreciative of what's going on. But most pastors, oh my Lord. And I just, most pastors feel like anybody comes in the church, a lot of times, the pastors I've had experiences with, not all, can't say every one of them, but a lot of the pastors believe that you're supposed to give just to them. And my question is what Steve just said. But one of the things, like you guys are talking about, this is your job. This isn't the job that I'm doing.
Right.
Right now, if I want to volunteer and help, that's one thing. But
Okay,
you
but-
should not
but-
put me as a recommendation that I got to be there.
A pastor's supposed to take care of the flock, right?
Right.
Right.
And he's supposed to help the sick and ailing and aging.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a community, and you're supposed to, everybody in the community is supposed to come in and help take care of that community
Right.
in a true church.
Right.
But that's not what we are anymore.
No, I mean, well, let's face it. I mean, Joel Osteen, back when they had that hurricane going on, he was like, he didn't want to open up his church for bringing people in because we were displaced by the storm and stuff. I mean, what the hell else big? This huge monstrosity of a building.
It was
mean,
the
yeah.
old Houston Rockets
Yeah.
stadium.
Yeah.
They could have housed a lot of people. In there.
Yeah. He didn't want to do that because this is for him. It's not to God, it's to him. And I can't stand people like
You
him.
never know. There might have been liability and litigation that could have happened because if you knew about anything, it was pretty bad those days. Somebody wrote a story about what happened, about the rapes and the killings that happened when they got together in Louisiana, and that I forget
Right.
what dome it was.
Yeah.
The people were out of control. It was the strong against the weak.
That's going to happen more.
There was a pastor. I
But
worked
I'm
with.
sure they would have sued the shit out of him,
Yeah,
especially
they could-
being a Christian pastor. That would have even been like the cherry on the top to make him bankrupt.
There
I'm
was-
sure,
Sorry.
but I'm sure it was litigation. Probably
It
his
might have been a
lawyers
reason.
told him not to.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That may be unfair. So if you're
I'm
listening,
sorry,
Joel,
you
sorry
have
about
to
that.
think of both sides.
Yeah, you got a good valid point there. So what are you going to say? Or?
There was a pastor I worked with for about 3 months down in Joplin, Missouri, when the tornado happened. Now that pastor, I will tell you, his name is Dan Wormuth, and I will, to the day I die, will always sing his praises because one of the things he used to say to us all the time was, "We have to be God with skin on,"
Mhm.
and that's what our thing is. But you know what he did? He shut everyone. When they had their whole tornado thing, this thing picked up and started up the whole street. But it picked up all these different things around the small little ice cream shop. That thing stayed, but all these big church buildings, hospitals, and everything got picked up and moved. Right. I would sit there helping different things up. We had food in the sanctuary. People that were just going to church there were coming out on Sunday morning, and they were shopping, just free will 5-hand discount shopping from people. And he was working Monday through Saturday all day long, trying to get people across the country to donate and stuff like that. Now, I would say about 10% of those people actually were affected by the hurricane that would come on Sunday morning for sermons. But I'd be sitting there watching people walk by and they'd be grabbing, the cookies, the donuts, everything. The food there was for people who were
So you're talking.
For 3 or
What
4
you're saying
months.
is people who were undeserving.
we're just sitting
took
there.
it.
Yeah, they take
and-
pallets
and
home.
the people who were deserving didn't get it.
Well, the people were deserving. They did. He did fight for that because we kept those we kept. But
But
the things
that's
that we couldn't
what-
take out. To
But
the
that's what
football.
always happens.
Yeah,
Look at these food banks. I mean, you see it. Look at the cars that come in. I know somebody who has a nice car could be on bad times, but not the majority of the cars being Cadillacs and BMWs. Nice cars.
Well, like when
Waiting in line to
when
go.
they
through
come in a
these.
limousine, they come through.
What-
They get thrown on their window.
I'm so sure they would if they could.
Yeah.
when the water giveaways were going on Richard Street over from here, people were pulling up in great cars, and a lot of them actually. I found out this.
They weren't even from Flint.
They were from Flint. They're from Grand Blanc, and places weren't affected by the bad water crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, this is BS. Go to the store and buy it. You got a car that's worth $70,000 right here. You know.
But one thing that I would like to touch on one more time before we go is daylight savings time.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I think.
All right,
it's
what do
fun.
you think
You
about
do
it?
You do
No,
it.
I'm asking you, what do you think about it? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Would you like to see it go?
It needs to go.
It's got to go. It's an anachronism we don't need anymore. I mean, it's I mean, that's the thing. You were making the point too when we mentioned this earlier. I mean, it's like something that was put in place temporarily and it just doesn't go away. And it was during the
Nothing in
First
the
World War,
government goes
wasn't it?
away.
That was put in.
World
It
War
was
One.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it made sense because they were actually using lanners and candlelight to do some of the things that they were doing.
Right.
But I just don't understand why this didn't get up earlier.
Yeah, I do. Well, the thing is, I mean, we always do that. It's something weird, like a temporary situation, and then they put some real significance to it, and now it becomes part of a culture. And then, God, we can't let this go
I mean,
because
wasn't
my
it
granddad did it.
David Axelrod that said, don't let an emergency go to waste."
Right,
An
exactly.
opportunity to put in new laws and regulations on people because we need it because of this emergency,
Right.
and then they never go away. Just like, but my major gripe is they know it's proven. I mean, there's years of studies that there are traffic accidents, there's workplace accidents, there's health issues, there's heart attacks. Heart attacks
Right.
go up
Yeah, because of stress.
during that time.
It causes stress. I mean, there's a perception. I mean, where your body reacts to stuff, either there's a real physical, actual like fight or flight, they call it, right? Your mind says, hey, this is going on. Your body reacts to it. It doesn't say, I can chill out. This is just something I'm seeing now. Okay, it's basically reacts. The physiological response is there. Blood pressure goes up.
Well, yeah, and if you have a job, you're forced to. I mean, I can see where the farmer is just going to do their routine no matter what. They
Right.
don't give a shit what time it is.
Yeah.
They just know the sun comes up and the cows need to be milked or whatever, and I got to do what I got to do. But you and I, who have a regular job, that was a big deal. I mean, it just seemed like you were just drained
if
for that one little hour. You could just feel it.
Yeah,
if-
I did for about 2 weeks.
yeah, it's like, and it's ridiculous. I mean,
I hate to spring ahead because every time you spring ahead, it's like you're tired for about a week or two. Just
well, the insurance companies should probably be the ones behind it because I mean they have more payouts because of the accidents and stuff like that, likely. So they should say maybe we should address this.
I think insurance companies need to be addressed. 'Cause,
Oh, yeah, I do too.
I know I'm going off on a new subject. I said I want to talk about daylight savings time, but why is it that you go to one hospital and you're charged X amount of dollars, but you go to the next hospital next to it for the same thing and it's a completely different price? And not one of them can give you a list of how much things cost.
They don't give you an itemized list. They don't.
And
they
then
don't
we
provide
talked
that.
about it before. The guy who had the MRI that he said that he didn't have them because they only paid for so many MRIs per quarter or whatever. But he found out that he was actually getting soaked by he was paying a couple of $100 more by paying his deductible with his insurance. It was cheaper for
Right.
him to pay out of pocket,
Right.
$200 cheaper for him just to pay for the MRI than it was to use his insurance to pay his deductible.
that's stupid.
See, and that's another thing is true. But back when the Affordable Care Act thing was going through and stuff, they never wanted to address these costs, these inconsistencies. Actually, try to find a way of actually getting more accountability for billing and stuff like that. And another thing is true. You got everybody who's doing the billing. You got people doing the service. You got people doing the billing. All those are additional costs. Those people got to get paid. And that's what jacks up the price of everything. That many times when somebody's hands has got to grab it and somebody's eyes got to look at it, you're going to be having to charge how much more added to it? How much more? What percentage? You got to look at that kind of stuff. That's like when you're doing a production thing, you got to see every level you're doing, every maneuver you're going to do. It's going to add a certain amount of cost there and production costs, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
But
that's the
if
same
you
thing as anything
remember,
else.
they were giving Trump a hard time because he wanted you to be able to buy insurance over state lines.
Right.
And they were having a problem with that.
There was a problem with it, and that's be so much. It's
In our state,
competitiveness.
but our state, we pay for the stupid the PIP law, the personal injury protection,
Right.
and come to find out, if you have other insurance, if something happens to you,
Right.
and say that you have other insurance through your job when it happens, that's the insurance that you have to use. They don't automatically dip into the money
Right,
with
from
the
the state.
state.
Yeah.
It's a big slush fund that somebody
state.
came up with in the state. And I've argued with insurance companies because like you, been all over the United States. Michigan, I think there's only 2 states that I forget what the other state is that has something like the
Like a
PIP.
pit law.
And the lady saying, "What happens if you get in an accident?" I say, "Well, what happens if you're in Ohio? You get in an accident and you get a brain that."
Ain't gonna
I
cover
mean,
it.
it's not such a great. Like I said, you can't use it anyways if you have other insurance.
No.
I think it would be a bad
I
idea.
don't know.
Hey, I'll tell you, I'm talking about insurance, talking about different things before we go. I gotta tell you something. I am actually now looking for a dog CPAP machine for Sarge. I
Oh,
have to
did
get-
you know that they made?
Yeah, I didn't know they made those.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
But
do
it
make
might
them.
be cheaper just to get they open up the sinuses. There's vets that will do that, so they can
Go-
and
go in
it's
this-
immediate.
Yeah,
It's like they sear they burn something up in there and open up the
sinuses.
sinuses for the dog. So they'd probably be better for the dog. That if you're going to pay money for a CPAP machine, I'm sure it's expensive for a dog,
I can't believe
and then
it.
he might not use it. Why not just if you're going to keep the dog and you care for him that much, just get him the surgery.
I just,
I think I might do that.
because he's a English bulldog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do have breathing problems. I mean, breathing problems, not
But
much as
I
sleeping
was
problems.
surprised. Like I said, I seen it where it was immediate, where they did the surgery on the dog, that opened up everything. Because a dog, they're not going to live. I mean, I'm sorry, it's a dog. It's going to 15 years
Yeah, about 15
before
Bulldogs, I
anything.
think, yeah,
If
like 8.
something is, if they do have complications from the surgery later on, then they're not going to. It's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, I think it's something.
I think the surgery would probably be better than.
Yeah. I
I
think,
think that's what we're gonna go
it's
to.
cheaper,
But I
so-
just thought it was just funny because I'm like, I was talking to Julie. I'm like,
How would you keep it on him if you didn't want it?
gotta-
Well, you're going to tie him
you're
up.
gonna have to get up all
They-
the time and
They basically they tell you have to trade it for them, and then you have to get up. And I'm like, dude, this is so much. And then you got to clean that thing, which a regular CPAP, I already say you got to clean that too. But then you have to clean the
Drool
whole-
and everything. It's probably
Yeah.
going to be nasty.
It's like and because he's been sleeping and he's like all night long. And Jill's like, can you find something from? You got a CPAP for this dog? Like, oh, like they make CPAP. So I went in our friends, and I'm like, Chatty, can you tell me if they make CPAPs for dogs and everything about it?
I bet you're expensive.
I bet you, and you have to go to a
And
vet
then,
that
like I
does it.
said, they might not be able. Dog won't maybe not even use it, and
No.
then sure you can't return it.
There's not one picture of the dogs that they have it on that looks like they're, oh my god, they're no look at.
that's
So,
modern problems, man. I mean, who would have thought that dogs would have that problem?
You got one last thing, or you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. So
Okay.
ready to
all
go.
right. Hey, happy New Year, guys. Talk to you.